ball is life, plain and simple. Ask any baller. If you know, you know.
The game has changed, but it's still the same. You want it, go get it.
Shazam! The inbounds pass comes into Jordan. Here's Michael at the foul line. The shot on Elo. Ah! The Bulls win! They win it!
Mike, you're honestly telling me that you're top 5.
Yeah.
Top 5 of all time.
No question about it.
Booker, this is for the win. Got it! Wow!
Yo.
The ruling on the floor is made basket.
One thing's for sure. Over at Valley Sports Plug, you're never going to catch us slipping.
With the first overall pick, the Phoenix Suns select
3, 2, 1, yeah!
Welcome to Pass the Outlet, episode number 31. I'm your co-host, Michael Benjamin, joined as always by my wingman, Chris Patrick. Chris, what an incredible start to the NBA season, a double overtime thriller. I can't wait to dive into today's episode, but how are you doing tonight, my friend?
My goodness, Mike, I am doing great. Basketball is back, and we just saw Kevin Durant lose his first game as a Houston Rocket. Kevin Durant and the Rockets, 0-82 confirmed. They're not going to win a single game this season. Mike, basketball is back. I'm stoked to get into it. We got a lot to go over, so let's not waste any time. But Mike, how are you doing, man? How are you tonight?
I am doing absolutely great, especially after that kickoff. OKC versus Houston, the double overtime thriller that a lot of us will be talking about for plenty of years to come, I will say that. But man, we got a full slate today. Obviously, NBA tip-off is off and away at this point. Right now, Golden State is playing Los Angeles. So if you're watching, you're joining us. We appreciate you joining us and having some fun today talking about the NBA. We're going to look at teams, players on the rise. We're going to have some award predictions. And we have to talk about the Phoenix Suns. Man, Chris, we have a full slate today, but let's go ahead, ride right into it. Like we said, double overtime thriller to start. OKC, basically it was ring night, right? This is their time to bask in the glory of being NBA champions, and what a way to start it off with a 125-124 victory over Kevin Durant and the Houston Rockets. It was a great showing by both teams, man. This is really the only way that you want to start an NBA season. KD, 23 points, 9 rebounds. Alfred Şengün, who is absolutely putting his name on the map with a stellar start, 39 points, 11 rebounds, 5 3-point shots. Awesome to see him expand his range as well. But OKC, they get it done behind their dynamic duo, and Chet Holmgren with 28 points. Did foul out, but SGA, after a slow 3 quarters, comes alive, as we've seen plenty of times in the past from the last year's MVP, 35 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. Chris, I got to ask, was it a timeout? Did KD almost blow it for them?
He almost blew it, had the ref blown their whistle, but he was not acknowledged. He definitely called the timeout. Everybody saw him. Even his own teammate saw him do it, rushed over, tried to stop him, literally tried to physically restrain him. Interesting move by the savvy veteran, I will say. But as the broadcast pointed out, refs didn't see it. Guess it's not reviewable. On to double overtime we go.
Hard to say that they didn't see it when the corner referee is standing literally almost on top of him. But hey, he did make the tough foul at the end to send SGA to the free throw line for OKC to go up 1, and then Jabari Smith just couldn't get that last second shot to go. But Chris, looking at this graphic here, man, we have a full slate to start the NBA season. Like we said, Golden State is taking on the Los Angeles Lakers right now, but tomorrow, Wednesday, October 22nd on ESPN, we have Cleveland versus New York, then Wemby versus future Rookie of the Year Cooper Flagg. And then Thursday, we get an NBA Finals rematch of OKC versus Indiana. And man, some heavy hitters in the Western Conference as well. Denver versus the Warriors. And then a hobbled team. We'll see how the Boston Celtics perform this year going up against the Knicks. and Anthony Edwards, who I believe is definitely going to be in the MVP conversation. The Minnesota Timberwolves taking on the Lakers to finish off the week. This is a new era of NBA basketball, Chris. Obviously, we saw the start of NBA on NBC once again, the first time in 23 years. It was really cool to see some of those, basically old faces of the NBA taking their turn and talking about the new game. I had told you before the stream, I thought it was super cool to see Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady, the cousins, out there doing the halftime report. But man, we'll see how, the halftime shows go for Prime. And I was truly transported back to the 1998 NBA Finals with that theme song, the Round Ball Rock, man. It was something special. But before we move on, Chris, looking at the rest of the slate for the week, what game is jumping out at you where you're putting it on your calendar and making sure to tune into?
Yeah, I think honestly, like for me personally, this was an easy choice. I think had we done this stream yesterday, it might have been that Rockets OKC game, literally the very first game of the season. But now that that's out of the way, I think a lot of the intrigue with these games is really lost on the fact that the stars are out, man. The stars are not shining. Tyrese Halliburton on the shelf for the season. Jason Tatum on the shelf for the season. LeBron James out several weeks to start the season with the sciatica issue. So, I think that Minnesota LA game would have been entertaining. I think the Celtics Knicks game would have been pretty entertaining. But for me, those games have kind of lost their luster with those stars being out. With that being said, I think tomorrow's first game of the doubleheader with Cleveland and New York is probably the most intriguing to me. These are both teams that were in the playoffs the past 2 years, are going to be in the playoffs again this year. All relatively healthy as far as I know. As far as, you got Donovan Mitchell and you got the main guys for the Knicks. So I think that's the game I'm going to be keeping my eye on. Of course, it's fun to see Wemby and to watch Cooper Flag. I think there's some intrigue there too. But if I had to pick just one, it would be Cleveland and New York.
I absolutely love it. I think this is Cleveland's time to shine. The Eastern Conference is truly wide open with a lot of injuries to the highest of high-profile players. Obviously, when you talk about Jason Tatum for the Boston Celtics and Tyrese Halliburton for the Indiana Pacers. Great pick, Chris. And I'm staying on the same day. The one that intrigues me the most, Victor Wembanyama, year 3. High expectations for him to not only stay healthy, but continue to perform and really upshoot his game this year and take San Antonio to that next level. Going up against Anthony Davis, Klay Thompson, and the dynamic rookie, I'm going to say it right now, even though I hate to say it, in Cooper Flag. The battle for Texas starts right now. Well, technically it starts tomorrow, so I'm super excited. I have to throw this up. Lawrence, thanks for joining us. But I had the same thought, man. Real tears when I heard Round Ball Rock. It just transported me back to childhood, and it was amazing. It was amazing that we're back here, man.
They would play that song in the arcade game too, right? The
NBA Jam?
Was NBA? Maybe I'm mistaking. I thought there was an end. Let me do some research. I'll get back to you on that one.
Do some research, bring it back to the people, and then maybe we'll pull up a video of it on another stream. But time to roll on, Chris. It's time to get into a little bit more of the NBA in general. Man, obviously, every single year we know teams are just flushing through players. It seems like there's so many brand new faces everywhere. And those offseason moves can really catapult teams into another stratosphere. So where I want to start, I put out some homework for you, Chris. We're going to talk about specific teams that we're keeping an eye on. And I want you to tell the people, what is one team that you feel is on the rise? One team that might surprise a lot of people that haven't been seeing all the offseason work or really reading into expectations before this season begins. But what's your team to keep an eye out for this year?
Yeah, man, this one, when you asked me this question in our show prep, I was like, that's a really good question, honestly. And I kind of had to pull up the league, all the teams, and see like who I really like. And it's funny, the team I picked is a team that when we were talking about the draft over the summer and we were just coming off that and we were like, who had a good off season? This was the team I picked. And funny enough, also featured in the graphic here, I think the Atlanta Hawks have an opportunity to really, really surprise people here. And maybe not for people who truly know ball. I'm basing a lot of this on the fact that they are a young team, up and coming. Trae Young is now well established in the league, and he's got a little help now. Couple that with a really banged up Eastern Conference. We already talked about the injuries to the Pacers and the Celtics. The Bucks are not fully healthy, I believe. So I think that the door is wide open for them to be a playoff team, and not just a wild card play-in team either. I think they could capture as high as a 6 seed, honestly.
I absolutely love it. Yes, right now, Atlanta Hawks, I think they're projected to have about 48 wins, 95.4% chance to make the playoffs. Had some great additions this offseason, Chris. When you talk about Kristaps Porzingis, Luke Kennard, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who shot his personal best of 38.1% from 3 last year. You're adding some outside shooting to go around Trae Young. Jalen Johnson just seems like he's primed for a breakout. He was averaging 18.9 points before his injury last year. Then you talk about the former number 1 overall pick in Zachariah Rashard. The big one for me, though, Chris, is I feel like Trae Young has that chip on his shoulder this year. He truly has something to prove. And you know me, the shoe guy, when you sign with Jordan Brand, there are expectations that come along with it too. So if you can't tell, Chris, my team to watch was also the Atlanta Hawks. I think this team is going to be super sneaky good this year. And Atlanta always will hold a close place into my heart. You already know this, from Josh Smith, one of my favorite players growing up, to Joe Johnson of Phoenix Suns. I would say semi-legend, just because he wasn't around for long enough to really kind of catapult himself within a legendary status for Phoenix. But, he was on that team my first year as a ball boy in 2004, 2005. But I'll throw out an extra one. I think we were talking about it on our fantasy basketball stream. Make sure you guys go and check that out as well. Chris made a little bit of a boo-boo in a pick, which was just an all-time moment. That's also all over our social media as well. But the Orlando Magic, I think, is another team that you got to keep an eye out from the East. Paolo Banchero taking a step up this year. Jalen Suggs getting healthy. The Gonzaga guy, who I think they have a lot of expectations from him this year. And then bringing in Desmond Bane, who did get a hefty contract, but they were surprised last year, and I just think they didn't have enough time in it. And this is the year for them to strike. But all right, Atlanta Hawks, keep an eye on it. Chris, now let's go on to the players. The specific player, once again, the homework assignment was, which player do you feel is going to take the biggest leap or maybe be the biggest surprise in a positive way this year? We'll pass it over to you. Who you got?
Yeah, man, for me, this one, honestly, once I started to think about it a little bit, was a no-brainer. And I hate to keep bringing up the same reasoning for all of my answers, but man, that damn Indiana Pacers team being a little bit banged up this year opens the door wide open for Andrew Nembhard. He stepped up in a big way for them during their playoff run. Last season averaged 9 points, 4 assists, nearly 3 rebounds per game. So, but the hidden gem in all this, Mike, is his efficiency. He was shooting 47.3% field goal and 35% 3-point. So it could unlock, with him getting more looks, more playing time, could unlock something great. I could see as much as 20 points a game potential for Andrew Nembhard. And honestly, could, if he does that, if he's putting up like 20 plus a night or getting close to a double-double, he could contend for most improved and likely like run away with it. He's plus 1,400 right now. I checked a little bit ago on FanDuel. So could be a nice opportunity to make a little cheddar if you want to throw something on that. But this is not financial advice. But Mike, yeah, Andrew Nembhard, I like him.
We are not financial advisors. Chris, absolutely home run of a pick right there. The Indiana Pacers are going to be a team to watch this year, obviously, because, the engine is obviously Tyrese Halliburton, but they still have a great foundation. You could still see jump ups from guys like Aaron Nesmith, big one to keep an eye on this year, as well as the former U of A Wildcat, Benedict Mathurin as well. So that's great. And he's on my fantasy team, Chris, so I'm going to need Nesmith to have a big year for me this year. But the guy I went with, Chris, was actually a guy that we just saw in this first game. The player that I feel is going to take the biggest leap. You have to think about where they are to where they could go. I'm going with Amen Thompson, the 6'7" guard. in his third season, the 4th overall pick. Last year, he averaged 14.1 points, 8.2 rebounds, 3.8 assists, 1.3 blocks, and 1.4 steals per game. You just have to think about what they're going to ask of him to do this year, which is basically run the point guard position. They're going to go positionless from time to time, right? But you think about their starting lineup with KD, Jabari Smith, Alfred Şengün, and Steven Adams. All those guys are over 6'10". So he's really their only change of pace when it comes down to the starters. And he had a nice start today, 18 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, a steal, and a block. He had some key buckets down the stretch. And then unfortunately in that overtime, I'm hoping that it was just, a Charlie horse or something. But he didn't finish that game out, so we're going to keep an eye on it. But that's the guy, man. The Thompson twins, Osser over with the Detroit Pistons, I think could have a leap as well. But Amen Thompson is truly the guy who stepped onto the national stage last year, and I feel is going to have a large opportunity with the expectations of the Houston Rockets to continue to stay in the limelight to the point where, we could see him be an all-star this year, especially if the Houston Rockets are a successful team, which I think a lot of people are expecting for that. But Chris, I think this is a perfect segue into our award predictions. This year, we only went with 3, and I think we went with our favorite 3, right? Obviously, you got to talk about the Rookie of the Year. Then you got to look at the Defensive Player of the Year and the Most Valuable Player. Let's start off, Chris, with the Rookie of the Year. And I wonder who it's going to be, but I will give you the floor, man.
Mike, it should be no mystery to anybody. It's Ace Bailey. Are you serious? I'm kidding, obviously. The guy doesn't even want to be in Utah. I mean, who really wants to be in Utah, honestly? No, I'm just kidding. But guys, it's Cooper Flagg. Obviously, it's Cooper Flagg. This guy, generational talent. Whether he's going to be like a superstar, like okay. Let me backpedal that a little bit. Generational talent might be hyperbole. Will he be a perennial all-star? I think he has that potential. He's just he's a really good, well-rounded ball player. And I know I kind of hate the term a two-way player, because every player who plays the sport of basketball should be a two-way player. But I think it refers to they do it well. He's known for being able to do it well. So, I mean, Mike, there's not a whole lot I have to say about it, man. I think with the team around him, especially, he's coming into a pretty good situation. I think he's going to have it's his title to lose, essentially.
And Chris, you already know where I'm going, but I'll give you another homework assignment. Pull up the odds for Cooper Flagg for me right now, if you can, to see what he's listed at for Rookie of the Year, because it just seems like NBA preseason award predictions everywhere, it's just the home run pick to go with Cooper Flagg of the Dallas Mavericks. You just have to think about where the Dallas Mavericks are right now as well. I think there is expectations, obviously, for them to make the playoffs, but while you're waiting for Kyrie Irving to come back, you really have to think that he's going to be given the green light in every situation for this Dallas Mavericks ball club. Clay's only getting another year older, and it's always an unknown with the health of Anthony Davis. So if you are bringing in a clear-cut guy who it looks like has kind of stretched out his shooting ability as well, man, you could be looking at him averaging 18 plus points, 8 rebounds a night. And if those are his numbers, nobody's going to be getting above him. But what are those odds, Chris? Tell me how much money I'm going to have to throw down to make anything at this point.
Yeah, Mike. And honestly, again, not financial advice. I'm not going to tell our audience what to do, Mike, but I think I could tell you what to do. If you want to empty your savings account and put here, no, I'm just kidding. So the odds right now on FanDuel for Cooper Flagg is minus 220. Obviously, don't drain your savings account and do that, because he could get injured in game 1 and then he doesn't win it. So, wait a little bit. Anyway, minus 220, kind of crazy to start a season. The next closest person is Ace Bailey at plus 900. Just not a whole lot of talent in this draft, guys.
Yeah, I don't even know if I would put $10 on Ace Bailey, to be honest with you. Now, obviously, in regards to these awards, they have the stipulations in regard to games played now, right? I think you have to play 65 games.
Yeah, that's right.
So
I forgot about that.
there's always cause for concerns in regards to talking about specific guys who might be, the cream of the crop. Specifically, you can talk about for most valuable player or even defensive player of the year, which I think is going to be a big one. And we're going to get to that in just a second. But if they're not hitting those marks, then they don't even have a chance. But Cooper Flagg has been he's been the bill of health, I would say, especially within his 1 year at Duke. I don't think that's anything to worry about for him. And I'll knock on wood for him because, Chris, yes, we are Phoenix Suns fans, but at the end of the day, especially where the Suns sit right now, I need to see great competitive basketball night in, night out from the entire league to stay interested this year, because we're going to get to the Phoenix Suns. But let's go on to Defensive Player of the Year. Last year's winner was Evan Mobley, the center for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So, Chris, who do you got for DPOTY?
Oh man, I think the interesting wrinkle is what you had kind of highlighted there that I didn't honestly really factor in when I was thinking about this, is that minimum games played requirement that is gonna make a lot of players ineligible for this award. So my asterisk pick, obviously everything is an asterisk with if they're healthy. That's always the case with sports, right? For me, I'd say Victor Wembanyama has the best chance to get it. I mean, blocks, rebounds, what more could you ask for?
Same thing, Chris. Pull up the odds. What is Wemby sitting at? Because everybody's predictions is Victor Wembanyama. The reason I did not go with him, Chris, is exactly because of the injury time frame. He is healthy. He's ready to go this year. But we did touch on it a little bit on our fantasy basketball draft. There's still too many unknowns going into year 3 with Victor Wembanyama. They're not going to force the issue with him. If he has even a little bit of a hamstring pull or an ankle, little mishap, they're going to sit him and they're going to play it safe. So does Victor hit that 65 game mark this year? I don't know. I really don't know. So one of the guys that I went with is on my team to watch this year. And it's the big money man who just got a 4-year, $100 million extension. And it's another guy on Chris's fantasy team. It's Dyson Daniels, the 6'7" guard for the Atlanta Hawks. Chris, Dyson Daniels' nickname is the Great Barrier Thief. What an absolute amazing nickname, dude. 8th overall pick in the 2022 draft. Last year, he led the NBA in steals with 3.01 per game, had 202 steals overall. He's actually the youngest player in NBA history to record over 200 steals in a season. And he led the league in deflections with 366. And he's already an award winner. He won the Most Improved Player award last year. So I think he continues to grow. This Atlanta Hawks team, if they are better this year, he's going to stand out. And if he continues to be a pest on the defensive side, continues to get 3 to 4 steals per game, adds in blocks, is just a natural defender at the highest extent. He's a guy who's going to, I think, stay healthy enough to be considered down towards the end for those calls. But you always have to keep in mind, Cleveland's probably going to be a good team too again this year. So you could see Evan going back to back. You can never really count out Rudy Gobert. He's another guy you got to keep in it. And Chet Holmgren, who I feel like over the last season and a half has led the league in blocks, or was second right behind Wembanyama within his time frame. So we will see about that. But I was a fool and took this off, Chris, because we still have one more.
My goodness, my apologies. And I do have those odds for you, Mike. It would be minus 185 right now for Victor Wembanyama. So essentially a $100 bet gets you $54.
Yeah.
So again, it's early, guys. Let's wait on the futures bets.
Yep. Makes sense. But it's the cream of the crop. It's the big, big money award, the most valuable player last year. First time MVP, SGA, got basically all the awards. Western Conference Finals MVP, Finals MVP, Season MVP. Good Lord. Chris, who you got? Is it SGA again, back to back?
Mike, I'm of two minds on this, and I talked myself out of my original decision. So let me walk with me, Mike. Walk with me. Let me tell you about my thinking here. So my first thought when I first sat down, did my homework, I said SGA is going to win it again. He's going to win it again. I mean, look and this was before I even saw what he did tonight. 35 points tonight, clutch win in double overtime. Now, granted, he missed a lot of free throws, but that's not going to keep him from getting the MVP. And to further back up my case, Mike, seven times in my life, 7 times in my, I was going to say short life, but I'm getting older. It hasn't been that short yet. But 7 times in my life has an NBA MVP won it back to back. So here's where my logic comes in. So I'm thinking, that's basically 14 years worth of MVPs being the same person. So that's my logic there. But then I got to thinking, man, Jokic had a really strong case last year. He did. And he probably should have won it. But the NBA doesn't really like the three-peats, right? Or what? It would have only been back-to-back for him, I guess, technically. But I don't know. I think there was something where SGA had a great season, but by the numbers, I think Jokic kind of edged him out a little bit. But it's subjective, and it's anyway, not going to get caught up in the weeds there. To round out my point, I could see this being a similar situation to the 95 to 98 NBA MVP race where it went Jordan, Malone, and they kind of traded off. So are we going to see Jokic, Alexander? I don't know. So that's my thinking. But I think it's SGA's award to lose, just because of the success. I think the Thunder are going to be a more successful team, and I think he means a lot to that team. Not to say Jokic doesn't. I think Jokic is the Denver Nuggets, but what SGA does out there, man, is just incredible.
SGA is the darling of the NBA right now, Chris. It would not surprise me at all if he ends up going back to back. With that being said, Chris, call me Brian Gregory. We are aligned. I think that Nikola Jokic is going to win the MVP once again, making him a 4-time MVP, where you have to start considering him as a top 10 all-time NBA player. I can't believe we are already at this point, and it seems like there are plenty of years to go with Nikola Jokic. Last year, 70 games for a big man. That is incredible, man. 29.5 points, 12.7 rebounds, 10.2 assists. It was his 7th season averaging at least a double-double, and obviously his first ever averaging a triple-double. Denver loaded up to make it back to the finals this year. I think there's going to be a lot of easy stats coming Jokic's way just with how this Denver Nuggets team is built. That's why I'm going with him. And like you said, I think if he puts up similar numbers, if he averages another triple-double season, it's going to be hard for those voters not to hand it to him unless OKC is like 10 games better than Denver at the end of the day. And SGA is averaging 33, 6 and 6 again, something similar to what he did last year. That's how SGA goes back to back. But people, thank you for joining us once again. If you're not subscribed to us here on Valley Sports Plug, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like the video. Leave a comment for us to throw up in the chat. But we're going to get to our NBA conference finals and finals predictions at the end of the stream because, Chris, it's time. It's time to get into, let me pull this up. The villain era, the Phoenix Suns, the 2025-2026 Phoenix Suns officially get kicked off tomorrow, Wednesday, October 22nd, at home versus the Sacramento Kings. No Domantas Sabonis and no Jalen Green, the newcomer from Houston Rockets in that KD trade. But Chris, let's look at the first month of games here. I want to go through the roster as well, but basically to end out this month, after our Kings game, we're going to match up in Los Angeles against the Clippers and our old friend Bradley Beal. Right after that, we're going to Denver to match up against the Nuggets. Then we're headed to Utah to face the Jazz. Then we come back home to play the Memphis Grizzlies, and then to finish out the month on Halloween night playing the Utah Jazz. So, Chris, the final roster came out for the Phoenix Suns. Obviously, a lot of familiar faces from last year. You talk about Royce O'Neal, Ryan Dunn, Nick Richards, Grayson Allen, Oso Ighodaro, Colin Gillespie, and our guy Devin Booker. How could I leave Devin Booker out? But then there are some brand new faces. Obviously, in the trade from Houston, we got Dylan Brooks, Jalen Green. We got some picks from that, which we took 10th overall. Khaman Maluach, the big center, man. Kobe Brea, we took him in the second round, as well as Rasheer Fleming. Then we got some guys in trades. Mark Williams, the center, who it sounds is going to be ready to go for opening night tomorrow. He will be on a minutes restriction, but it's going to be great to see him come in. Got guys coming back like Jordan Goodwin, who won the battle with, I believe, was it Jordan Butler or Jared Butler after he dropped 35 points against the Los Angeles Lakers backup team. And then you got some guys to fill out the rest of the squad: Isaiah Livers, CJ Huntley, and Nigel Hayes Davis, who had a great year overseas last year. Chris, I'm just going to open it up right now. Talk to me. Phoenix Suns basketball is right around the corner. How are you feeling, man?
Mike, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous. It's just a great unknown, right? I mean, the one beautiful thing is, and that word, that dreaded word we've thrown around a lot, is expectations. There are none. Which is good. I was gonna I initially pulled it for the social swish, but I didn't. There was a Twitter interaction that Kevin Durant had where a fan essentially reposted a clip of the Suns bench being all excited during the preseason and was like, oh, the vibe, something like the vibes are great, now that KD's gone. And then KD said basically something along the lines of, it's easy to have vibes when there's no expectations. Have a fun season, buddy. And he's not wrong. But I think there's still some intrigue with this team. Obviously, we still have Devin Booker. We have another rookie to be excited about, a big center. Probably not going to see much of him this season. I think people are really starting to embrace Dillon Brooks, and we haven't even seen a regular season game yet. But Mike, the reason I say I'm nervous is Jalen Green, man. I don't know what to expect out of him. He seems just a complete wild card. And then to add to all the anxiety I'm feeling about how he's going to fit in with Devin Booker and this team, he's not going to play to start the season. So we're going to have to wait even longer to see what this looks like. Kind of in a little bit of a way reminds me of when we were kind of waiting to see what the experiment of Booker, Beal, and Durant was going to look like. And they could just never get on the court at the same time. I don't think that's going to happen here. We're definitely going to see a whole lot of Jalen Green and Devin Booker. But I mean, out the gate, Mike, there's questions I have. Like we've had the point guard discussion. Is it going to be Book? Is it going to be Green? We've heard things both ways, but it seems like right now it's Green, but now Green's out to start the season. So is Book going to be point Book to start? I'm nervous, Mike. I'm nervous. You're muted, man.
Dang it. I was starting off hot too. But basically what I was saying is, that totally makes sense, right? The biggest thing to put your feelings in hiatus, I would say, is not being able to see these guys on the court together to start the season. Jordan Ott came out today and said, there is only one guy who will miss tomorrow's game, and it's Jalen Green, the guy who has played 186 straight games, who has just been the absolute top bill of health when you talk about guys who consistently play and find themselves onto the court. Chris, the biggest thing for this Phoenix Suns team is if they are truly going to have any type of success, the backcourt of Devin Booker and Jalen Green has to work. It really that's at the end of the day, the easiest way to put it. You could talk about all these secondary kind of guys where you hope, Grayson Allen can kind of find his form from 2 years ago, almost shooting 50% from three. You hope that Ryan Dunn takes a nice second year step, which I truly think is going to happen. You hope that Mark Williams can be healthy. You hope that Dillon Brooks brings that physical edge and just nasty mentality, which this team has basically been missing, I would say, even before the Monty Williams era. But if this team is going to go everywhere, if this team is going to go anywhere, we have to have that front court scoring punch from both Devin Booker and Jalen Green. And it's really just going to be the most interesting thing to keep an eye on this entire year, is to see how they share the basketball and at what points do either of them get selfish because they need to. That was one of the biggest things that we had conversations about in regard to Devin Booker over the past 2 years, 2.5, not 2.5, but 2 1/3 with Kevin Durant, right? Which was, we always wanted it to be Devin Booker's team, but everybody, and himself included, just always took his second fiddle to Kevin, especially down the stretch of games, or, if things weren't going well, you always turned to KD because you just said, go let the 6'10" guy get you a bucket. This is completely new for him, Chris, since he's taken this, level of his game. Devin Booker is still a star in this league. Is he a superstar right now? I don't know if you can truly say that because the team has not seen success over the past couple of years. And he's going to be the main guy to rely on, but he has to have a Robin to his Batman, right? And I don't know if Dillon Brooks can even truly be that kind of guy. I don't think Ryan Dunn has that offensive capability within him to do that right now. And then you just look at kind of the secondary pieces. They're fillers. They're guys that fit a role that are competent enough to give you buckets when you need them. But down the stretch, it has to either be Devin Booker or Jalen Green. That's the biggest thing for me. I mean, let's talk about the starting center position and just the center group as a whole, right? I already said Mark Williams sounds like he's ready to go. They really were keeping him out of the preseason to make sure that he would be ready to roll on Wednesday. And he will be on a minutes restriction, probably around that 22 to 26 minute range, which is totally fine because you have Nick Richards, a guy that you brought in from that same Charlotte Hornets team last year, who I think showed some strides and showed that he's capable to be a backup. And then you have Khaman Maluach. Chris, I want you to get in the first two, but I got to ask you, you already made a comment about Khaman and how you really don't think he's going to get minutes this year. Why do you feel like a top 10 pick is just not going to get enough time frame to show what he's capable of? I need to hear from you.
Yeah, man. And I mean, I could be completely wrong here, but the way I'm reading the tea leaves is you got a really young player here and a raw talent. And you don't have to rush him along. You have Mark Williams and you have Nick Richards, right? I keep forgetting his name, Nick Richards, right? So you have these guys. Now I have said, and even I believe on Past the Outlet, that I expect that one, if not both of those guys will be injured at some point this season. And by necessity, we'll see Maluach then. But I think that with the what I understand, I think what Jordan Ott and Brian Gregory want to do with this team is build and develop a young team. And sometimes when you play a young player before they're ready, you can kind of hinder their development in a way through maybe a lack of confidence or just a lack of touches. I mean, when you are going out there and you're with Booker and Green, they're going to be handling the ball the most. I think, not to say the Suns stunted DeAndre Ayton's development or anything, but I think they're, and Ayton is not, Maluach is not Ayton as far as I've seen, but I think Ayton got bored out there because he came from U of A where the offense revolved around him, comes to Phoenix and the offense kind of revolved around Devin Booker and Chris Paul and all that. So I don't know. I think that there will certainly be opportunities for Maluach to get some playing time, but I think the added wrinkle for me is that the Suns didn't extend the rookie offer for Mark Williams. Of course, he has a checkered injury history. I keep bringing up that he failed the physical in the trade to the Lakers from the Hornets. It comes to us. So I think that's them kind of saying like, hey, man, prove that you can be healthy this year, prove that you're worth it. And then we can see what you're worth at the end of the season. I don't think there's any problem with that because that puts it on him, man. I mean, we talk about prove it years like Zach Allen just had for the Diamondbacks. Sometimes, the decision is in your hands where, you can prove yourself. So all that to say, I think that he has an incentive to try and stay healthy so that he can earn his next contract, whether it be here or elsewhere. Nick Richards as well has not been as banged up, but shown to be unreliable in late games. So long-winded answer, Mike. I think that's why we'll see Maluach sparingly, but I do think there will be a point at this season where he's thrust in and getting 30-plus minutes.
I am very happy I asked that question because I knew that you and me would be aligned within this situation. 100%. Khaman Maluach is a project. He's a project for a future. Even though you hate to say that you use top 10 capital on somebody, you just have to think he's 19 years old. He did add some weight over the offseason. So he looks stronger. He looks bigger. But, he's one of these guys who also, I think he's been playing basketball for a grand total of 5 years of his life at this point. So he has a lot to learn, especially about going to the tip top and the grown man's game of the NBA. Chris, I'm the one guy I would say outside of Jalen Green that I am so excited to see get on the floor for the Phoenix Suns is Mark Williams. And that's exactly why I think the Phoenix Suns made the smartest move in not extending his rookie contract, because it puts that chip on his shoulder. This is where this Phoenix Suns era is going to have to live in. Guys are going to have to prove it. Things are not going to be given to you. You have to show it, because they're going to be willing to move around different pieces. Matt Ishbia has already shown his hand in that for, the number of years that he has now been the owner of this franchise. So you got to go out and perform consistently, even if the expectations might not be the highest that we've seen even over the past couple of seasons, right? I'm so excited to see Mark get on the floor tomorrow. I just am expecting dominance from him when he is healthy, and I hope it pays dividends. But Chris, the last question before we get into our schedule predictions, you see it, the menacing man who is creating a villain era for the Phoenix Suns, Dillon Brooks. He's one of those guys that you can kind of go back to, Patrick Beverley. You hate him when he's not on your team, but you always find a way to love him when he does, if he ever does, find a way onto your squad that you love. So what are your hopes for Dillon Brooks this year? And are you ready to roll with this guy? Because I think a lot of people in the Valley are starting to latch onto him now.
Yeah, I'm starting to see that. And honestly, I might be getting on the train with Herm Edwards. Because, man, like, you nailed it, man. Like, he's one of those guys, hate him if he's not on your team, love him if he is on your team. And Mike, what's crazy is this guy is, for all intents and purposes, your veteran leader. You got Royce O'Neal, 32, Nigel Hayes-Davis, 30, Grayson Allen, 30, Dillon Brooks, 29. We went from having damn near one of the oldest teams in the league to now one of the youngest within a season or two. Dillon Brooks being the leader and the voice of this team, I think is a good thing, honestly. Whip these young guys into shape. He'll be able to continue to help Booker. I think obviously Booker's perfectly capable of being a leader, but I think he can be a little more, and it's crazy for me to say about Booker, but I think he can be a little more reserved at times, where I think Dillon Brooks will be way more assertive. And I think it's going to be a far cry from the Kevin Durant era, where it was very passive, nobody really giving a shit, everybody kind of being afraid to get yelled at by KD, where now you got this young team. It's like, let's grow together.
I couldn't have said it better, man. I mean, if you just think about Dillon Brooks as a player as well, a guy who's averaged double digits for the past 6 years, the past 3 seasons, played over 72 games a year. That's what this team has sorely missed. Just somebody who is reliable, who's there consistently. And obviously the mentality, we've talked about it. It's going to be so huge for Dillon Brooks to come in here, hold guys accountable, and really change. Let's go back to the Brian Gregory isms, if we can say that. Change the accountability, change the identity of this franchise, which has just been needed so very, very badly over the past couple of seasons, ever since we went to the NBA Finals. So with that being said, we'll have, when we do our predictions, which is going to be right now, Chris, obviously give us your kind of last thoughts, anything you have for the Phoenix Suns. And then I need to know an exact win total for this team. How do you feel the Phoenix Suns are going to perform this year?
Oh, man, put me on the spot. I know I've shared a bit of my thoughts privately. I believe only privately. I don't know if I've done it on a podcast yet. But yeah, just some last thoughts, Mike. I'm scared. I'm nervous, whatever adjective to describe my anxious feelings right now. But excited too, because with having no expectations, the sky's the limit, right? I'm interested to see what, if anything, Nigel Hayes-Davis can contribute to this team. A whole lot of hype about him winning the EuroLeague MVP last year. 30-year-old coming back into the league. So there's some storylines to watch out for. I'll say that. Obviously, this team being young, first-time head coach, new identity. I think it's going to be a roller coaster. I think there are going to be nights when we're like, holy shit, this team is good. And then there's going to be nights where we go, what the fuck did I just watch? And I know we don't swear as much on Pass the Outlet, but man, like, this Phoenix Suns team makes me feel some things, Mike. But did you want me to go ahead and share my schedule predictions, or do you want to set that up?
No, I'll give my last kind of thoughts so we can both give our schedule predictions at the same time. Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me, Chris, in regard to where the Phoenix Suns sit as a franchise right now is the youth movement, right? Over the past 2 years, you could just see, even within the trades that they made for guys like Royce O'Neal, there just hasn't been a lot of true athleticism on this team. It can be a double-edged sword when you go with high-profile veterans comparative to, playing against these young up-and-coming squads in the NBA nowadays who might be raw, but can just outwork you and outrun you on a consistent basis. I mean, even before the KD trade, you talk about the Houston Rockets consistently giving the Suns fits. I would say over the past 2 to 3 seasons, ever since Jalen Green has been there, right? These young teams, even like the Chicago Bulls, who have left a lot on the bone and are going to have no expectations similar to us, they were so much younger than the Suns last year. I'm so intrigued to see how Jordan Ott and his coaching staff works in these young pieces and starts to develop them, right? We already talked about Khaman Maluach, but I think there are large expectations for Rasheer Fleming, who a lot of people talked about as a fringe first-round pick, who the Suns had to make deals for to move up to the first pick in the second round, right? Does Kobe Brea really find any time? I don't know. But, a guy that fills it up, if he's given minutes, it's kind of the same way that Colin Gillespie, when he was given a chance at the end of last year, they had to play him. They had to play him and then give him opportunities. And it worked into Colin's favor. And he got that nice little extension and is going to be now a key contributor for the second unit for the Phoenix Suns. And he is also officially been announced as Villain Jr. by Dillon Brooks. So there's always a semblance of being scared, Chris, especially when you see where the Phoenix Suns were so shortly ago in regard to expectations, going to the NBA Finals, being 2 games away from hoisting that first ever NBA championship for the franchise's history, trading for Kevin Durant, and now finding ourselves where we are, where we don't have any draft capital for first-round picks until 2032. You got to get nervous. I mean, you just really have to. But in the same vein, I would say don't let that hold you off from being excited to watch Phoenix Suns basketball again, because this is truly going to be a completely different era. There's going to be bumps and bruises along the way. And like Chris said, for his timeline, it might be a couple of years of bumps and bruises, but I think we're still going to have a hell of a lot of fun with that being said. So we're here, Chris. What do you got? Wins, losses? What's your official prediction for the 2025-2026 Phoenix Suns?
Oh, Mike, I've been really low, but then I've talked myself into being a little more psyched up. I'm a little more optimistic. It's hard, right? It's hard to be optimistic for a team that's gotten themselves into this situation, but it's like then I start drinking the Kool-Aid, Mike. I hear the national reports and that's the thing. Like, I don't start to drink the Kool-Aid when the local guys are doing it because they're paid to do it, right? And the fans, we're always going to be thinking our team is a little bit better than the rest of the world. But the national media, Mike, is saying that this Phoenix Suns team could be sneaky good, Mike. This Phoenix Suns team could make the wild card or play in, whatever the frick it's called. And that again adds to my nerves. I think that, okay, I'm just going to put a number out there, Mike. I'm just going to put a number out there. I think that the Suns will win 35 games. I will do just about as good as we did last year.
So that would put the Suns at 35-47, if my math is correct in regard to that, which I feel like would be on the tail end of the Western Conference, probably in 12th out of 15, if I'm not mistaken. So not in the play-in position. Is that about right? So they don't really have a shot to make the play-in if what you're sitting at.
Yeah. So for example, the last play-in team last year, the Mavericks had 39 wins, and the Suns were the first team on the outside looking in with 36.
Okay. So, Chris, we have to be honest with each other, and we have to be honest with Phoenix Suns fans. Exactly. Be careful when you drink the Kool-Aid, right? Because this is always the time of year where technically everybody is not out of it, right? You really just have to look at this Western Conference and how loaded everybody is and how the upper echelon has started to really skyrocket past these rebuilding teams. And unfortunately, the Phoenix Suns find themselves as one of those teams. They're going to play spoiler, I think, a lot more than we imagine. They're going to win games that they shouldn't. And I hope at the end of the season, everybody is still being bought in and we're working towards the larger goal, which is upcoming success quicker than waiting years on out, right? But you just have to truly think about the changes that this team has made, the firepower that has left the building, if you kind of think about it, and the unknowns that we have at the same time. I kind of gave two spectrums here, Chris, right? I said my stretch goal, I would say my upper thought process in regards to where the Phoenix Suns might find themselves at the end of this year is about 38 and 44, right? Which I feel like would be maybe close to a play-in berth, would be like the 10th spot, and they'll be in it towards the end and playing meaningful games to try and get into the dance right there. But I don't know if the realistic goal, I mean, it's not a goal when you're only winning these amount of games. I think my realism where I'm sitting is about 33 and 49. I think this team is just a little bit too far away from the other teams in this conference. Now, it's hard to listen to some of these, upper echelon NBA podcasts talk about how it's like, I'm going to hate watching the Phoenix Suns. Like they're the least interesting team. People putting them 14th out of 15th in the Western Conference. They're not going to be that bad. They just can't be, right? I don't think it can.
Yeah.
As far as the basketball style, I don't think it can be as bad as it was last year where we hated watching them, but they're going to have too many small kinks in the armor to close out games. It's going to be like the Arizona Cardinals, right? They're just not there right now. They don't have enough of the firepower to get there, and they're super young, and that's okay. It's tough to live within that scenario just off of years of being in the playoffs after we had waited for a decade, and now this is where we find ourselves. But I'm still going to have a hell of a time going to now Mortgage Matchup Center. Good Lord, it changes every 3 years.
Don't remind me of that.
I got half season tickets. Chris and I will be there on November 6th as Bradley Beal makes his first appearance back to the Valley as a Los Angeles Clipper. But the first game that I think we have, the Memphis game and the Utah game. So I'll be there next week. And I'm so excited. I am so excited to get back there and watch the Phoenix Suns duke it out this year. But Chris, before we move into the social swish, anything else? Any other feelings you got on the Phoenix Suns, man?
Yeah, it's funny, Mike. While you're talking, you talk about people saying that what was it, that they're the least exciting team to watch? Was it that some people were saying? I get like defensive, and it's like you can't talk bad about my team. Only I can talk bad about my team. Like
I think that's just crazy, though. It's like, what are you super excited to watch the Washington Wizards again this year?
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like that's just bullshit too. Like there is plenty of intrigue with this team. Devin Booker, all-star, superstar in this league, has a signature shoe. Jalen Green, rising star. Dillon Brooks, people love to hate him. People love to post the clips of him fouling out and getting teed up and ejected on X, and it gets headlines. There's intrigue here. There's intrigue with this Suns team, and they're young, so I'd expect they're gonna play at a pretty fast pace. But yeah, Mike, that's kind of just my last thoughts. Is like while I'm down on them and I'm gonna be critical, there's intrigue. You can't deny that.
100% intrigue. And even if the only thing that you're intrigued about is seeing how Jalen Green and Devin Booker pair together, right? A guy who has clearly cemented his status within this league with an up-and-coming shooting guard that has a hell of a lot of athleticism and just plays at a different pace from Devin. Come on, how can you not be intrigued about that? So
And
Go
think
ahead.
about like just real quick, just a thought, like to think about the grudge matches too that the Suns are going to be involved in, like when we play the Rockets and when we play the Lakers. There's still going to be plenty of drama and things to hang your hat on.
And you left out maybe the biggest one for the Phoenix Suns fans when we play the Clippers, man. That is now an absolute circled game for as long as Bradley Beal is on that team. And wherever Bradley Beal goes until the end of his career, trust me, I will be keeping a keen eye. And those will be games that if it's not within my half-season tickets, I will be buying to go and watch Bradley Beal hopefully blow it.
Yeah.
Kind of like Kevin Durant blew it today a little bit for the Houston Rockets.
Well, then those 3 teams are 12 games of our schedule. So that's like it's a pretty good chunk.
Absolutely, man. Now, there's a whole lot of a lot of intrigue for the Phoenix Suns this year. I cannot wait for tomorrow, Chris. First game against the Sacramento Kings. And I will say this. My predictions for the Arizona Cardinals were 11-5. They were a stretch because in year 3 of a rebuild, you are supposed to win. And I am currently not even close to those predictions. So you know what? I hope Lawrence is right and that the Suns make the playoffs. And I am wrong again. That is fine. I will always come out here and eat crow. I try to be realistic. I think Chris tries to be realistic as well. The realism, though, is that the Phoenix Suns sold a bill of goods the past 2 years and didn't come anywhere close to that. So when you get it, what is it? Fool me once, fool me twice, shame on you, shame on me, all that good stuff. Right now, I've been fooled. You got to show it to me. So this is where we sit. But that's it, Chris. Phoenix Suns basketball is right around the corner. We can't wait for it. But now it's time to get into the news around the net with the Social Swish. What do you got?
Oh, buddy, that is right. I got some good ones for you tonight. This is the Social Swish, as Mike said, news from around the net, where we scour the internet, formerly known as the Reddit Reacts for any returning viewers. We're rebranding. We are expanding our horizons. We're going on X, Facebook, YouTube, Google, Yahoo, the dark web, the light web, the medium web. I don't know. We're going all over to get this news for you. So this first one, Mike, I don't know about you. It certainly slipped under the radar for me. I didn't even see this news story until I was doing a little digging today. Mike, after 8 years, Malcolm Brogdon is retiring. I found this on r/NBA memes. The user nobody equals 7006 said, so crazy how he just decided to call it quits. And it's a screenshot of Twitter. Funny enough, that's all Reddit is these days, is just Twitter screenshots. But it says the 2017 Rookie of the Year retiring before the 2004 Rookie of the Year is insane. There's layers to this post, Mike. And it's all a repost of the Bleacher Report article announcing that he will be retiring. Wow. Mike, did you see this coming?
I did not see this coming. I had no idea that this happened. Malcolm Brogdon had some incredible seasons. Yeah, you talk about him. He was a Rookie of the Year, 2023 Sixth Man of the Year. He had kind of like a second coming, I think, when he went to Indiana. And I don't know. I just feel like the last couple of stops that he ended up in, it wasn't the right fit for him. And I don't know if his game was ever able to be tailored to where he was finding himself. But I still thought he would be a guy that would, probably stay around the league for like 15 years, be a bench guy and a role player for plenty of teams. But this is the new era, man. Like, things are so much more fast paced, and it seems like teams are always willing to give opportunities to unproven commodities nowadays to see if they might have a diamond in the rough. So if Malcolm Brogdon kind of tapped out probably 3 years ago and just was never able to get back to that, that same level. I don't know if you saw as well, like Victor Oladipo, who hasn't played in the league in like 3 or 4 years, was kind of trying to make a comeback. I think he had a workout for somebody. I can't remember exactly who the other week as well. But, even if Victor's trying to make a comeback, somebody would probably give him a camp invite. And only after 9 seasons, Malcolm is hanging him up. That's honestly crazy to me. It probably was one of the last guys that I would think would be, I don't know if he was ran out of the league, but just couldn't keep up enough anymore. But man, I mean, he got some accolades. He made it to the playoffs a couple of times. I'd say solid career for anybody. If you can play more than 5 years in the top league within any sport, hats off to you, man. I hope he enjoys whatever's coming next for him.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, and it was crazy. Like I said, I hadn't heard of this either, and it took me way longer than I'd like to admit to figure out what 6 MOTY means. Sixth man of the year, I'm guessing. I didn't know he won that in 2023, but yeah, it's strange, Mike. I would have had the same thought as you, that he'd have a good long career, at least, if not be a starter, transition to a solid role player off the bench. He averaged double-digit points every single season throughout his entire career. Last year, I think a weird season with Washington, kind of just where careers go to die, I guess. Had a camp invite with the Knicks, was in their training camp, and then just decided, you know what? No, I'm good. And this all happened about 6 days ago. So less than a week old is this news. Yeah, I don't know, Mike. I was trying to figure it out. Obviously not doing a whole lot of digging, but looking at his stats, like he seemed to have missed quite a few games throughout his career. I think probably injuries, if I had to guess. And maybe he just decided, like, man, I'm banged up. I've made my money. I'm gonna move on. But yeah, man. And another one, like you mentioned, Victor Oladipo as well. I didn't hear that he had like officially announced it. I had seen that John Wall officially finally, I know he hasn't played in a couple years now, but he finally was like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, I think he did the big, nice video kind of recap of his career and highlights and that kind of stuff. I think that happened in the summer as well. So we're getting to that point, Chris, as we get older, those guys that we were, growing up with in our early 20s are now, calling it quits as well. So shout out to Malcolm. I wonder if he finds himself in like a coaching position. I wonder if he's that kind of a guy. Cause
That's a good question.
that has been like the complete transition, I feel like, for a lot of NBA players nowadays. Like if you have tenure within the league, a lot of coaching staffs are willing to give those guys opportunities to try and meet the youth, right? And if you've been there and done that, you can share your experiences, and he's a perfect guy to do that. So, all right, brother, what do you got next?
Yeah, man. So this one, I had to bring it a little bit local, a little bit of a nod to our old friends over at r/Suns. This is from user Tizdo. He said, dude is crazy. And for our audio only listeners, we have a picture here of, I believe, Ralph from The Simpsons diving through the front window of the Simpsons house, if you're familiar with the meme. And a little caption above the picture, it says, Coach, okay, Dillon, you have 5 fouls. Be careful out there. And then it's Dillon Brooks, and it's the picture of him diving through the window head first. So, Mike, I think this speaks to A, the Valley embracing Dillon Brooks, and B, Dillon Brooks being a certified crazy person.
He is a crazy person. And it goes back to his time at the University of Oregon too, Chris. I mean, trust me, I do remember those times when either ASU or U of A went up against him in the Pac-12, and he was the same kind of guy. He talked about his underdog mentality kind of growing up. Did he say he grew up in the burbs and was kind of like picked on? So he had to kind of get tougher skin, and it translates to basically kind of everything he does, and especially on the court. We just haven't seen this from this type of from the Phoenix Suns in a number of years. I mean, is there anybody that you can think about that has this type of mentality that has been on this squad? I'll ask you, Chris. Like, I'm blanking here. I don't know. You could talk about guys who would kind of go for loose balls, like Josh Okogie and the Dan Marley Hustle Award winners. Kind of fit the bill. Like, if you want to put money on anything next year, put it on Dillon Brooks to win the Dan Marley Hustle Award for sure. But, that was one of the first things that people were talking about after that first preseason game is Dillon diving on the ground after loose balls. Basically gets all the team involved to show it's like you lead by example, and he's going to be one of those guys. There's going to be times where we're questioning it. There's going to be times where we're saying, whoa, Dillon, you're getting a little bit too crazy. But as long as he's not pulling a Draymond Green and doing roundhouse punches to Yusuf Nurkic's face, I can live with the craziness, and I can embrace that craziness. So stay crazy, Dillon, man. I'm excited to have him on this ball club.
Oh, as am I, Mike. I think you nailed it there, honestly. Like it's all fun and games, and it's exciting, and it's edgy. And until it's not, and it gets taken too far. And then I think hopefully that doesn't happen. But if it does, I'm sure his teammates will reel him in, and he's got a good group around him. But yeah, man, so excited to see Dillon Brooks throwing his weight around. I got a few more, Mike. You think we got time for 2 more? All right.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Awesome. Let's head over to x.com. And this one is I'm gonna do this one a little bit live because it's a multi-parter. I had just heard about this on my drive home actually, and had to rush home. I didn't look at my phone while I was driving. I waited till I got home. And had to take a look. Mike, did you see the Minnesota Timberwolves release their city jerseys? And they are a nod to Prince with the Prince font there and the purple and the dark blue. I love it.
I
love it.
Take a dip in the waters of Lake Minnetonka, man. This is absolutely incredible. Sometimes it's hard to see, or sometimes I think it's hard for fan bases to grasp onto like a color that's outside of your scheme. But when it is truly embracing an absolute icon for your city and state, you dive right into it, man. Yes, this is awesome. I love the purple. I love the nods. The lettering is smooth. This is one I could get behind, man. 100%. Like, this would be one of those classic jerseys. If I was like truly a jersey guy, I'd be out there grabbing one of these for sure. Yeah, these are clean. These are really clean, man.
100%. And honestly, Mike, like while you're saying that, I'm not like a big on like getting like I'm more open to it now, but like maybe like if they have a cool like city t-shirt that has like wolves, I'll have to check out the team shop. Cause yeah, I love everything about this. And I think like orange is probably my favorite color. And I think I'm learning that purple is also one of my favorite colors. And I think that's probably because I grew up a Suns fan and that's been my favorite sports team my whole life. But like, I think regardless of what the reason is, I have a soft spot for the color purple. The shade of it almost reminds me a little bit of the Serpientes jerseys, I think.
Yeah, I can see it. It might be a shade. It might be a little bit more towards the pinker side.
A little like neon, like more pink, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Chris, I feel like the biggest thing for me, and it's the reason why, yes, the Arizona Cardinals, what was it, rivalry jerseys that just came out were kind of polarizing to some fans, where they didn't love that it looked like a tortilla, but it was all about the connection to the city, man. That is what means so much more, I feel. If you can root your team closer to where you live and where you love, I am 100% going to embrace that. So that's why I love those rivalry jerseys, man. The tan with the speckles, love it. This is an absolute nod to one of the biggest, influential musicians in Minnesota's storied history, if you want to say that, in the story of the world, basically. So if you were to create that kind of a jersey to link your city more towards, somebody who was such a standout, and then you just find yourselves really just falling into line for why you love your city even more. Like if I was a Minnesotan, I'd 100% be all about this. I'm not a Minnesotan, and I'm still about this. And yes, absolutely sick. Dante DiVincenzo. I feel like that's a perfect jersey for Dante DiVincenzo. I don't even know why, but he just seems like the guy. Scroll back up one time. That bottom right corner one. It was made for him, dude. I'm telling you. Look at that. That was made for him. That's perfect.
He's loving it. And I could be mistaken because you see the Purple Rain star here in the background. I thought I heard that there was like a court potentially too.
Well, is it going to be part of the play-in stuff?
Oh my goodness, my apologies. What was that?
Is it going to be part of the play-in games? Like, do you think the court will be this purple and they'll wear these jerseys for that?
Like the you're talking about the in-season tournament, right?
Yeah, the in-season tournament. Yeah. I would imagine that's what it's going to be.
Yeah,
right?
That makes sense then. Yeah, because then that'll be they'll have the special courts for that already. But I think if I'm not mistaken, then if that is the plan, I think there's going to be some like Prince's symbol is going to be on the court, or maybe it's just like the font was going to be Prince. But the fact that they're actually like putting like Purple Rain and like using like it's not just his font, it's like legit, like this is Prince branding. Like, so I think that opens the door for them to do something like that. Very cool. Regardless, I want to see it. I want to see this in action. I love it, and like not a fan of the team at all, but I love the jersey, man.
And it bodes the question, what's going to happen with the Phoenix Suns? I know the rumors are that the Valley jerseys are making a comeback again. So I'll ask you this question before we go on to our last one or whatever else you got, Chris. The Phoenix Suns, their tagline last year was "Suns Up," right? They're reusing it again this year. And then now we're going to bring back the Valley jerseys. I love those Valley jerseys. Don't get me wrong. But we need to transition into a completely new era. So I don't love that we're reusing Suns Up. I do like that we're using the Valley jerseys again. Those are probably one of the best, if not the best, that the Phoenix Suns have ever had. But I'll be intrigued if that's going to be our statement jersey. Like, what is the court going to be? Because, during the in-season tournament, it's all those crazy colors. So it's like, what is it going to be, an all-black court? Like, I don't know. That could be cool.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. I don't know, Mike. I don't know. I think I'd be okay with that. I do like the Valley jerseys more than the El Valle jerseys, although I didn't hate them. But yeah, the Suns branding has been a little bit stagnant recently, I think. But yeah, it's a new era. So we'll see what happens. But Mike, I do have one more, and this was actually a topic that we've been meaning to talk about for a little over a month now. But there were some new developments, so maybe good that we waited a little bit. But I really thought it was important to bring this up and to have you share your thoughts on it, because I feel like you did have some strong opinions on this. It's Adam Silver getting heat for saying NBA is a highlight-based sports fans can see on Instagram, TikTok. I just read the headline there, and then it didn't make sense halfway through. But this article on NBC Sports, I'll just read the first paragraph here for our audio-only listeners. It says, Adam Silver would like that phrasing back. Silver was faced criticism in recent days for a quote that came off as tone-deaf to fans. When asked on Wednesday about the expense of being an NBA fan, from the cost of attending games to the need for fans to subscribe to multiple streaming services to watch all their games, the quote pulled out of Silver's answer was cold. Quote, there's a huge amount of content that people essentially consume for free. This is very much a highlights-based sport. So Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, now X, YouTube, another example that is advertising based that consumers can consume. That's what Silver said. Rubbed fans the wrong way, basically saying, I don't care, watch it on Twitter. Mike, what was your interpretation of that?
Yeah, the first thing, and I think they put it perfectly within this article, it is just 100% tone deaf in regard to the entirety of your fan base, right? Not everybody lives within the same means as everybody else. Not everybody can pay for 4 or 5 different subscriptions. When you pigeonhole certain games to certain streaming subscriptions, I thought the NBA was about seeing the product as a complete whole, right? And unfortunately, there's some markets that still, like, games are being blacked out because they don't have, a state, what do you call, like, partnership the way that the Suns do, where you can just go out and get an antenna and watch every single game, whether it's home or away. Like, not everybody still gets that, right? And especially, for a transplant state like Arizona, not everybody is Phoenix Suns fans. If you're a Milwaukee Bucks fan or, a Charlotte Hornets fan, like, you're never going to watch them, because then you got to either pay for League Pass or you got to buy whatever the $190 subscription is to just get your team. And some people just can't afford that, man. So that's why it was awesome to always have, you could count on Tuesdays and Thursday nights was TNT, right? Fridays was ESPN. And yes, we're going to have that, but we know at the end of the day, the NBA is a conglomerate, and the only thing that they're doing is running it like a business and trying to make the most amount of money. And places like NBC, Prime, they threw the bag at them. They weren't going to walk away from them. But for Adam Silver to basically just say, the comment came off as, well, if you're poor, just go watch on YouTube and watch through the ads. You can watch the highlights. Like, whoa. That is just the wildest way to try and give your product to your fans, right? And like you said, this is about a month ago now, so not a lot of people are talking about it nowadays. And when I first heard about it, I believe it was on the Hoop Collective podcast with Brian Windhorst and a bunch of his buddies that they'll syndicate on 98.7 on the weekends here, and they were kind of in shock with the comments that Adam Silver made. And where the NBA as a whole kind of finds itself as presenting the product to fans as they're trying to continuously grow, not only within the United States, but globally as well. And if your commissioner is basically saying, cough it up, or, watch the 9-second highlight on Twitter, like, it's just the worst look to have. So I will say I do feel for sports commissioners to a certain extent, because they are very polarizing figures and everything that they do is always going to be dissected. But that's why you have to have the right leadership in play and have the right people around you to bounce ideas off before you go out and spew some bullshit, which this was at the end of the day. So unfortunately, this isn't something that really affects me. I have the majority of these streaming services that the games have transitioned to. I have DirecTV. I have my antenna to watch all the Suns games I want. And I have Prime and all that kind of stuff. But like I already said, not everybody does. And it's hard for the normal fan to get all of the content, especially we're hoop heads. There are people who are even more diehard hoop heads than us, Chris. And some of those people are not going to get to watch what they want to. So we'll see. I mean, I think the NBA is primed for a lot of nostalgia this year, especially within, the distributing services that are going to be out there, and people are going to be super intrigued. But as this thing goes along for a couple of years, I wonder if there's really going to be that many markets or avenues to watch if they don't start shrinking it down a little bit more over the next couple of years, when they see the juice really wasn't worth the full squeeze to go all the way around. But do better, Adam Silver. At least it sounds like he came out and said, I wish I didn't phrase it that way. So that's always a start.
Yeah, and he did come out and basically say that, like, whoa, I think this was kind of taken out of context. He was essentially his explanation that he was speaking more to how do we reach fans that only consume short form content, not that if fans can't access it, go watch short form. Regardless, Mike, I can't really add too much to what you said. You really nailed it. But it did come off to me as being someone who works in kind of like a corporate environment. It came across to me as like a CEO giving a quarterly projection to the board of directors, like where he's like, this quarter we were 35% down because of viewership on, it's just like, I don't think it was meant to be consumed by a broader audience. But Mike, like you said, when you're the commissioner of one of the major sports leagues, you're under a microscope, and it's tough, right? Because you gotta balance being all knowing about the day-to-day basketball stuff as well as the financial and marketing, and you gotta be a jack of all trades. So I don't envy Adam Silver. I will continue to be highly critical of him. However, I think he's a terrible commissioner, and the league could do better. But all that to say, I'm not losing sleep over his comments, or it's not necessarily making me hate him any more than I already do.
Yes, exactly. Well, Chris, that was a great list for the social swish, the news around the net. And we've made it to the last hurrah here on Past the Outlet, episode 31. The 2025-2026 NBA season is officially here. Chris, pull it up for me. What's the score of the Warriors-Lakers game? It's got to be close to the end at this point, because I think they started at 7 o'clock. So it might be over if I'm not mistaken. But tell me that the Warriors finished. Yep, they finished the Lakers off. Looks like there's 5 minutes left?
Yeah, there's about 5-6 minutes left. But yeah, I don't think they got the juice.
I'll be interested to see the box score completely. Oh, there you go. Jonathan Kuminga, 17 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Chris, you don't want to trade for that? Yeah, don't say anything. No, don't say anything. Take this off the screen. Take this off the screen. We don't need it anymore. But we have made it to the final hurrah. Like I said, it's time to give our conference finals and NBA finals predictions. Chris, out of the Western and Eastern Conference finals, you got to tell me who's matching up, and then who's matching up in the NBA finals, and who's taking it all home this year to be the 2026 NBA champions. I will give you the floor, man. You can start in either conference, however you want to do, but just give it all to the people. Who you got?
All right, Mike, I think I'm going to start in the Eastern Conference, because for my money, I think it's a little bit easier. I think you can pretty much write the Knicks into the conference finals. Through our conversations tonight, we've really highlighted how down bad the East is, and it's kind of a weaker conference these days. So I would expect the Knicks will be there. And as far as who they're going to be playing, I honestly like the chances of the Pistons to make another leap forward and surprise a lot of people. I think they could be a playoff darling. This could be my stretch pick. They will make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and ultimately lose to the Knicks, who will advance to the NBA Finals. And they'll play the winner of the Western Conference Finals, which I believe the Thunder will return to the finals. Now, who they'll play is anyone's guess for the sake of time and keeping this pushing. Let's say the Nuggets get there. Let's say it's the Nuggets again, right? Because they just played the Nuggets in this last playoff run. It wasn't in the conference finals though, right? It was, right?
Yeah, you're
it
right.
was, right? Okay, yeah, my brain don't work so good. Yeah, I think the Nuggets get back there, but again, I think the Thunder are just so stacked with talent, man, and now they know how to do it. They get it now. They've been there. They're going to have that playoff experience, which is only going to make them that much more dangerous come the postseason. The Thunder are going to be back in the finals, taking on the New York Knicks. And am I supposed to say who's going to win it all?
Do it. Tell the people.
OKC is going back to back, and I hate it, but they're going back to back. Like Drake and Meek Mill.
Back to back. Chris, we're going to have a couple of similar picks here, obviously, which makes a whole lot of sense. I think I might have misspoken. So OKC matched up against the Denver Nuggets in the semifinals, so in round 2 last year.
That's right. Okay, that's what I thought.
And it did go to a game 7 because OKC played the Minnesota Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals because the Timberwolves went back-to-back to the Western Conference Finals. So I will start in the Eastern Conference as well. I think the clear-cut teams there, like you said, the New York Knicks with Jalen Brunson just being an absolute menace, Mikal Bridges continuing to find his form alongside of him. Karl Anthony Towns truly still is one of the best centers in the league, at least scoring centers. And they have some good guys on, in that secondary unit, like Miles McBride. Mitchell Robinson is still just a rebounding machine. I think Josh Hart might win Sixth Man of the Year this year, Chris. And I think one of the bigger needle movers for me is them signing Jordan Clarkson as well. Jordan's getting a little bit up there, but he is just always bringing a scoring punch. And we'll see if that's what they need because they're going to have to go up against the Cleveland Cavaliers. I really think that Kenny Atkinson is going to have these guys feeling some type of way after last year. Obviously, they did lose some pieces like Ty Jerome, who has now, I think he went to the Memphis Grizzlies, but they brought in Lonzo Ball, who hopefully can stay healthy this year and can be, a true asset for that secondary point guard position. He is going to have to start this year because Darius Garland is going to miss some time to start the season. But Cleveland is just truly a full fit team. And where a lot of people didn't have faith in them last year, I think this is the year for them to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. But they will not be headed to the NBA Finals because the New York Knicks will be finding themselves standing on the top of the Eastern Conference for the first time since the 90s, Chris. Since I believe 1995, if I'm not mistaken, when they played the Houston Rockets in one of those 2 years when Michael Jordan retired and went to go play baseball. So it's been a long time for New York Knicks fans. And they've had some good ball to watch over the past couple of years, so don't feel bad for them. But I think this is the year that they finally capitalize, especially on a down Eastern Conference. But when we get to the West, Chris, it truly might be anybody's game. But like I still said, the top of the top, the cream of the crop continues to rise. The Oklahoma City Thunder will find themselves in the Western Conference Finals again against the Denver Nuggets. Chris, this Denver Nuggets team, scaring the hell out of me, man. Just talk about another year of growth from Christian Brown, Julian Strother. They brought back Bruce Brown, who was an absolute key catalyst for them winning their first championship in 2022. The biggest move was them swapping out Michael Porter Jr. for Cam Johnson. We love Cam Johnson. He's a better defender and I think a better shooter than Michael Porter Jr. And he's going to fit great within this system. And then they brought in probably the best backup that Jokic has ever had in Jonas Valanciunas. This team is primed to go and get it done again. And Chris, I have them, the Denver Nuggets, making the NBA Finals for a matchup of the Denver Nuggets versus the New York Knicks. I think this will be a hell of a fun series for sure. But at the end of the day, the Western Conference is too much. The Denver Nuggets will win another championship. They're second in 4 years. Does it make you sick, Suns fans? It probably does. But the Denver Nuggets have the best, if top two, maybe not two, best player in the league in Nikola Jokic. When you have that kind of player added with the pieces around them, you know, Jamal Murray was really one of the main guys that got him over the hump when they won that first time against, was it the Celtics that they beat? Because the Warriors beat the Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
Who the hell did
was it the Heat?
The Nuggets beat. That's right. Because they
swept. Yeah, that's right.
Because remember, the Nuggets only lost 2 games in that playoffs run. 2 games to the Phoenix Suns. So, NBA basketball is back, Chris. I just get chills around this time of year. It's spooky season, and I'm not getting chills because I'm scared. I'm getting chills because basketball is back. But with that being said, Chris, I'll pass it over to you one more time, give you the floor, let the people know what's going on, and then we'll head out for the night.
Yeah, man, I'm just so excited. Obviously, basketball is my favorite sport. I don't know if that was a mystery to anybody, but this is just a beautiful time of year. We're going to get college basketball very soon, if not already. I don't think it's started yet. But man, very excited to see, as much as I've stressed and emphasized my nerves and my stressors towards this Suns team, I am excited to see what they can do. I think, like we said, there's going to be a lot of intrigue. I think at times they'll be exciting, at times they'll be frustrating. It'll be like a small child with this Suns team, and you just got to be patient with them, as you do have to be with small children as well. But yeah, Mike, I will say the word one more time just to really put the emphasis on it. I am excited. Basketball is back, and let's start the season with a dub against the Kings tomorrow. How about that?
Let's do it, man. There's no reason why we shouldn't. 100%. DeMar DeRozan is a little bit hobbled. We already talked about Domantas Sabonis. Sabonis won't be there. Keegan Murray won't be there as well. The Phoenix Suns are at full strength other than Jalen Green, and he will be back before you know it, Suns fans, and we'll get to see what this truly looks like. But with that being said, we appreciate everybody who's joined us tonight or watching back on playback services or podcast streaming services. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to us here at Valley Sports Plug YouTube. And you can follow us on all other social medias at AZ_VSP. Chris, it's funny you brought up college basketball. You did your homework tonight. You did it great. I might have you do some more homework assignments in regard to the Arizona Wildcats basketball team and Koa Pete, Bryce James. We're going to have to get into it this year. That is for damn sure. And we also will be making sure to make a couple of different games out to watch the Arizona State Sun Devils play this year as well. But ladies and gentlemen, this was Pass the Outlet, episode number 31. I'm Michael Benjamin. That's Chris Patrick. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time. And go Suns. Peace.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Ball is life, plain and simple. You know, ask any baller. If you know, you know.
The game has changed, but it's still the same. You want it, go get it.
Shazam!
The inbounds pass comes into Jordan. Here's Michael at the foul line. The shot on Elo. The Bulls win! They win it!
Mike, you're honestly telling me that he's top 5.
Yeah.
Top 5 of all time.
No question about it.
Booker, this is for the win. Got it! Wow!
The ruling on the floor is made basket.
You know, one thing's for sure. Over at Valley Sports Plug, you're never going to catch us slipping.
With the first overall pick, the Phoenix Suns select